Hello, Sam here, Strings Direct. I'm joined by D'Addario's fretted specialist, Adam, today, and I'm about to test his knowledge on the 7 ranges of D'Addario electric guitar strings. So let's start. Should we start from the brightest?
Yeah, sure.
That's the way I've got them lined up in my hand.
Yeah, brilliant. Let's go bright to dark and see what I can do.
Brightest, ProSteels.
ProSteels, okay. Yeah, great. So the ProSteels have kind of a steel alloy wrap wire around them. What you're going to get is an ultra bright, kind of ultra aggressive and really bitey sound.
Yep.
So it was really popular amongst thrash metal players and really aggressive metal players kind of in the 90s who want that precision, bright, punchy kind of sound.
Right, okay.
They feel a little rougher under the fingers. It's not like playing a cheese grater. It's not going to slice your fingers or anything like that, but they feel a little bit rougher under your fingers, which some people actually really like. They're also really popular among kind of pedal steel players who want that really ultra bright kind of slide sound as well.
Right, okay. And so next, so we want to knock that back a bit, we come down to NYXL, am I right?
NYXL, yeah,
Okay.
our kind of, it's been out in the market for a couple of years now, but it's our newest and my favourite of the electric guitar string range. NYXL's is, I mean, we did a full video on that as well, which is well worth kind of checking out for the rundown
I'll link
on that.
right here where it's inconvenient. Right in the
Yeah,
middle.
yeah, where it's really hard to edit in. Yeah. Yes, we did a full video on that, and it's very similar to our next string, the XL that we're going to talk about.
Right.
But it's a special new New York steel core, we call it, and it's you get a lot more tune and stability. It's a lot stronger, a lot more break resistant, and it's a bit of a brighter sound. There's kind of an upper mid-range hump inherent in the alloy between about 1.5, 3.5 kilohertz. So that's what gives it the added kind of punch and brightness over the regular XL.
Right, so yeah, perceived brightness coming from that upper mid-range push.
It's kind of the presence frequencies.
Yeah, right, okay. And then after that, we come down to the standard XLs. These are the popular ones that maybe you might know of already.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of been our bread and butter string and the industry standard string for a long, long time now. Now, this material, the nickel-plated steel, is actually inherently quite bright. So for a long time, it was one of the brightest strings on the market. It's become the industry standard, so everybody's got used to that extra treble and that extra brightness and that extra presence. But in comparison to some of the earlier string materials that we're going to talk about in a little while, it's actually really bright. But it's the industry standard. I mean, that's where I would always start. If I want something a little bit brighter, I go to the NYXLs or the ProSteels, something darker. We'll talk about some of the other strings in a little bit, but it's kind of, it's not quite a flat frequency response. It's definitely a treble lift, but if you think of that as kind of your zero, and you can kind of go up or down from there.
Fine. Okay, I see. So next, then we have the EXP coated XLs, which actually have NY steel core now.
Yes, they do.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so it's the coating that's going to slightly back these down from the standard XLs, right?
Yeah, correct. We talked about in another video the way that we coat the string as opposed to other companies may coat the string.
Yep.
It still does knock ever so slightly a little bit of kind of top end off, because if you're putting any kind of material over the top of the metal string, it is going to reduce the brightness just ever so slightly.
Yeah.
Certain manufacturers where the whole string is coated, the effect is going to be a lot more noticeable than with ours, but there is still a little bit of a top end roll off.
Right. Okay. So we see where they are, and then we come to the half rounds. So we had we've done a little video just now about the different kinds of winding, and the half rounds are a specific process they are ground across the top after they're wound. Is that right?
Correct, yes. Yeah. So we wind the normal nickel-plated kind of string, the normal XL,
yeah,
and then we precision kind of grind down and buff the top of the string so it's kind of semi-flat on top. Really popular amongst slide players because it gives a really smooth finish to the top. The slide's not going to make much squeak. Because of that, just, it's no longer perfectly cylindrical, for lack of a better word. It's just going to dampen the tone down reasonably significantly, and you're going to get a little bit less treble and slightly less sustain as well.
So you can almost think of it as you're grinding the top down. You're actually grinding that top end off the string as well. So it makes sense.
Yeah, you can certainly picture it that way. Yeah.
Fine. And then next we come to pure nickels, and these are sort of a more original string as such.
Definitely. So pure nickels are a really interesting material and not one that many modern players have really kind of experimented with. So back in the day, maybe thinking sort of 40s, 50s, possibly 60s, this was the string material. It was, you know, the steel core with pure nickel wrapped around it. It was a very kind of dark tone, almost. It would sound unnaturally dark today because we're so used to the extra added brightness from the nickel-plated steel.
Yes, of course, yeah.
But it really still a popular string amongst kind of rock and rollers and rockabillys, and even guys like, I mean, can I name drop Eric Johnson? Guys like Eric Johnson like to, you know, favour the pure nickel strings over many others.
Okay.
And it's just because of the inherent dark sound. People will often ask me, you know, I'm using the regular XLs, I've got, you know, this amp, this pedal, this setup, I'm knocking all the treble off, and it's still just slightly too bright. And I go, have you tried a set of the pure nickels? They put them on, and you can find you can actually dial back in some of the treble, make your guitar sound like a guitar again. It has that much of
an effect, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It definitely has a very noticeable effect. It's a lot of a much darker, much rounder tone.
Right, okay. And so, lastly, we have the chromes, which are the flat wound steel string, right?
They are very dark string. They have a very distinctive, dampened, unsustaining, for lack of a better word, sound.
Yep.
Really popular among your kind of traditional jazz players, because this was the traditional jazz string of choice back in the day.
Yep.
It's a ribbon wound process using steel, so it's an entirely different construction, entirely different look and feel to the string as well. I was talking about in another video, despite being used predominantly for traditional jazz, I actually met a guy a couple of weeks ago who told me he loved these strings and was using them in his doom metal band, and that was something I'd never ever considered. But it just shows that
it's dark music, isn't it?
It's
dark sound.
It's dark droning music, yeah. So I mean, and it worked perfectly for him. So it just goes to show that it's probably not going to work for thrash metal, but give it a go. You know what I mean? It'll certainly help you find your own sound by, you know, experimenting with some of these metal alloys.
There we go. So if you want to try any of these different sounds, make sure you grab a set of Darios to do this. They are very consistent strings, very good strings. Head over to our site, you can pick some up there, and let us know what you think of them. Cheers, Adam. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Thanks, Sam.